For many people, when it comes to their dream car, they go right past the expensive supercars and name a classic from the early years of automotive engineering. Vintage rides that capture the iconic soul of a generation. While they might not perform as well as modern vehicles, their timeless elegance can bump up the price tag come auction time. Let's check out 10 ultimate auction vehicles and their eye-watering price tags. Germany's post-World War II manufacturing was similar to many of its devastated neighbors across Europe at the time. Starved of resources, the emphasis was on cheap, economical motorized mobility solutions. Produced between 1958 and 1961 by German manufacturer FMR, was the TG 500, the TG unofficially standing for Tiger. This four-wheeled microcar featured a 500cc two-stroke twin-cylinder engine, which at the time left the other 125 to 200cc microcars way behind. Two people could ride in tandem, with the body coming in bubble-top coupe, convertible, or roadster configurations. Only 320 Tigers were ever made, with only around half of those believed to exist to this day. For this reason, auction prices tend to be fairly high. In 2013, a rose-colored 1958 FMR TG 500 sold for $322,000 at the Bruce Weiner Microcar Museum auction, making it the most expensive two-stroke car ever sold. Back in the late 1960s, Italian car manufacturing was a serious business. Argentinian race car driver and businessman Alejandro de Tomaso dreamed of building a car that would rival Ferrari's performance and price point. While his plan didn't succeed, the resulting Lancia Fulvia HF Competizione prototype is still an impressive engineering specimen. Designed by Tom Tejarda, who described it as one of the best cars he ever created, the Lancia Fulvia HF Competizione was ahead of its time in aerodynamics, with folding headlights and a retractable rear wing. The lowered 1600cc four-cylinder engine provided enough stamina for touring, yet had the acceleration and low center of gravity for circuit racing. In fact, it's believed that the prototype was modified and tested for use in the 1970 running of the 24-hour Le Mans race in France. With only one prototype ever built, the Lancia Fulvia HF Competizione failed to sell at auction and is currently for sale at a price of around $182,000. Today, two-stroke engines are largely outlawed on public roadways, but in the early 1900s, they provided significantly more power than a similar-sized four-cylinder engine. In 1904, British engineer Alfred Scott designed and patented a 450cc vertical twin two-stroke engine mounted in a V-shaped frame with the fuel tanks mounted behind the rider's legs. While it may have looked odd, it did make the motorcycle easier to mount. Founding the Scott Motorcycle Company, Alfred produced bikes under the Squirrel name from 1921 onwards. The three-speed Flying Squirrel began development in 1922, before Alfred's death a year later. Launched at the 1926 Earl's Court Motorcycle Show, the Flying Squirrel featured a unique passive water cooling system known as a thermosiphon. This 1929 Scott Flying Squirrel was restored by Kenny Howard, the Von Dutch brand owner, for his friend Steve McQueen, and fetched $276,000 at an antiquarium New York auction in 2009. The Kissel Motor Car Company, was an ambitious manufacturer founded in 1906 by two German brothers, George and Will Kissel. After immigrating to Wisconsin in the USA, the brothers set their sights on developing high-performance, high-quality four-cylinder vehicles. These became the preferred transport of wealthy Playboy sportsmen well into the 1920s. Launching in 1912, the Semi-Racer was the first real sports car by the Kissel Company. It's built on the four-cylinder 30-horsepower Model 30 chassis and featured popular elements of the era, including a folding windscreen, convertible top, nickel-plated headlamps, and carriage lamps. Several 40-horsepower and 60-horsepower models were also produced. As the Semi-Racer was only a limited run, only a small number were produced between 1911 and 1913. This 1912 30-horsepower model is listed for auction at R.M. Sotheby's with an estimated sale price between $50,000 and $70,000. Mercedes-Benz has always been known for style, elegance, and a price tag to match. But the German automotive manufacturer's post-war race car was impressive even by today's standards. In 1954, Mercedes unveiled the W196 that featured an all-new aerodynamic closed-wheel aluminum body and a revolutionary new valve system that didn't require springs. The updated design dramatically impacted the Mercedes-Benz W196, winning both the 1945 and 1955 F1 Racing World Championships. The iconic race car is an absolute collector's item, with only 14 units ever produced. F1 legend Juan Manuel Fangio was a proud owner of the W196 until 2013, when it sold at a Bonhams auction at the Goodwood Festival of Speed for $29,650,000. The D-Type was produced by British manufacturer Jaguar between 1954 and 1957. While it borrowed a lot of inspiration from the previous C-Type, including the same straight 6 XK engine, the body was a noticeable departure from traditional design. Developed specifically to race and win the 24-hour Le Mans race in France, the D-Type featured a monocoque body, vertical stabilizer, and an engine capacity that varied from 3 liters to 3.8 liters, depending on the maximum allowed in that year's race. Ultimately successful, the D-Type won Le Mans in 1955, 1956, and 1957. In total, 18 racing D-Types were produced, 53 for private customers, and 16 production sports models, named the XKSS for American racing. The latest D-Type sold at auction reached a private sale price of $21,780,000. Developed from the iconic 550 Spider, the 718 RSK was Porsche's effort to pursue sports car manufacturing and Formula 2 racing. Produced over 5 years between 1957 to 1962, this model was different from its previous predecessor. It could be configured to be driven from the left-hand side or from a central position. With wins in the 1959 Grand Prix de Leopoldville in Central Africa and the 1000 km in Buenos Aires, the 718 RSK Spider was one win away from an F2 World Championship in 1959. It eventually settled for third place. RSK Spiders in good condition can fetch upwards of $2 to $3 million at auction. This 718 RSK Spider, initially driven by Bob Holbert to win multiple events at the 1959 Bahamas Speed Week, recently sold at Bonhams Auctions for $2,323,500. In 1904, Charles Rolls and Henry Royce partnered to form what is now one of the largest and most reputable automotive manufacturers in the world. In the same year, they would offer the British public their first ever commercial vehicle, the Rolls-Royce 10 HP two-seater. Despite featuring a 2-liter, 2-cylinder engine that delivered 12 horsepower at 1,000 RPM, Rolls-Royce named the veteran car 10 HP. The car was a huge success with wealthy British businessmen and catapulted Rolls-Royce into the global luxury manufacturer it is today. On December 3, 2007, at a Bonhams auction held in London, a 1904 Rolls-Royce 10 HP two-seater was sold for $7,254,290. The sale is currently listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most expensive veteran car ever sold. Created as a direct response to the Maserati 450S, the Ferrari 335S has a bit of a dark history. Two of the famous cars were entered into the 1957 Mille Miglia, with neither driver finishing the race. A blown tire caused one of the vehicles to careen off the road and into a crowd of spectators, killing the driver, co-driver, and several spectators. Despite the 335S being the catalyst for the Mille Miglia's cancellation, its limited run of only 4 vehicles has caused it to become one of the world's most valuable cars. This was confirmed in 2016 when, at an auction run by Arcurial Paris, the infamous 1957 Ferrari 335 Sport Scaglietti sold for an astounding $35.7 million. This ticked off the record at the time for the most expensive car ever sold at auction in Europe. The title of most expensive car ever sold at auction goes to the 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. It's not the rarest car in the world, with 39 models produced over its 2-year production run, but it's widely regarded as the best classic racing car in the world. With a 2,953cc 3.0-liter V12 engine, the 5-speed race car was developed in a wind tunnel to determine the aerodynamics required to improve top speed and stability. In its first outing, the 250 GTO took home first place at the 12 Hours of Sebring in March 1962, with a further 55 wins until the car was retired from racing in 1965. For that reason, and for its sheer iconic value, the 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO has always fetched a high price. In fact, the previous record for the most expensive car sold at auction was another 250 GTO, sold in 2014 for $38,115,000. That record was shattered in 2018 when this 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO was sold at R.M. Sotheby's auction house for $48.4 million, officially becoming the most expensive ever to be sold at auction.